Peace. Salam. Salam. We're going to get comfortable. We're going to go over a deep understanding, debunking, and bringing the truth of the so-called Hermetic, what they say, axioms. So get prepared. Prepare yourself as we get prepared to get what's been holding as a bind over our people. When they say the 7 chakras or any principle of the 7, remember, all these truths was already exposed and brought into the open. So all we had to do is find the truth in the open. Find the truth in plain sight. So my intent for you, don't worry about all that. My intent for you is to have knowledge of self. To have knowledge of self, you must know first, which is 0. Knowledge of self depends upon knowledge of self. Now this content we finna go over, I was introduced to this content probably like in my 4th study. In my 4th year of studying. And in my 4th year of study, this was dope. It was one of the books that was one of its kind for a long time till you could find, till you find greater truth. And it took me all the way to study 18, which is 18 years, to find the greatest truth, written and published, that matched the experience and the knowing in my heart. So for a long time, I dealt with these principles, which they call the 7 principles of truth. They would say the principles of truth are 7. And so these things was mastered by my mind. But what I came to find out, that this wasn't what my mind should be mastering. So unfortunately, I mastered it, but unfortunately, I didn't have to. So now I want to take you through where you don't have to. You just understand it as is. And through that, you will begin to unlock KOS. So we have to understand the Hermetics, are a group of liars. I have shown on other videos of the origin of the Kabbalah. So you can check that out. It's under Videos Alive 1 under 2. And in that you will see Hermeticism, where it dates from and its origin. And so they lie, as always, about its origin. So finding its origin is not as old as they claim it to be. So through the insertion of those false words, it led myself, and it will lead others who come to that same understanding, to a book. And the book is good. It'll hold you down until you understand greater. So what I'm finna do is break us down to where are these people pulling this from. We all know that they all pulling from ancient Egypt, right? Okay, so now I have proved that ancient Egypt got their knowledge from the Amar, for the Maral Dukan. The ancient Egyptians got their knowledge from the Morab, the rabbis, the Marabas. You know them as the rabbis. So they took this knowledge, retranslated it for the purpose of their own gain of control, for control and profit. Now the control was to control our minds through limited knowledge of self. And it starts right there. If it starts right there with a limited knowledge of self, then you could be taken on for a ride. So we're going to get into this right quick. Like, now this just coming off a site just online. Superphysics.org is the site I'm referencing from for the Hermetic Axioms. So the Egyptians got it from, in short, the Sufayans. The Sufayans is a cosmology, a theosophy, a cosmography, a faith based in the cosmos known as cosmogony. And knowing these was called knowledge of self when we talk in ancient wisdom. Modern times, they'd call this theology. And in theology, this is where we have the confusion. They have given gods and allegories of myths human qualities. So that's what makes it a theology. But theology is a pseudepigraphos. Pseudo meaning fake, pigrapha writings. So false scriptures are pseudepigraphos. So this is also a pseudepigrapha. But we finna correct it into correct knowledge, take it from its corruption to we're gonna put on incorruption. We're gonna take the flesh and we finna transmute the flesh into spirit. And when I say spirit, I mean purity. So let's keep this in mind. Now we're gonna start with the first. It says, now this is quick to the punch without you reading all of the material inside, but I advise you to always know. So, but this is the quickie to the understanding in my version. So I'm going to show you what they didn't show me. Just by inserting the right words, you will understand all this greater. Here we go. The possession of knowledge, unless accompanied by a manifestation and expression in action. Let's get down. And expression in action is like the hoarding of money. It is a vain and foolish thing. Knowledge, like wealth, is intended for use. Now this is a big one right here. We can get associated under a theological point of view, which that perspective, it does not use knowledge. It just preach knowledge, but it don't use the knowledge. So we have to understand the first wealth was knowledge. That knowledge was the wealth. And that wealth which was knowledge, was always an intention. And that intention was always the divine right of use. See, knowledge, like wealth, is intended for the divine right of use. The divine right of use is universal. He who violates it suffers by reason of his conflict with natural forces. This is what black minds who are so-called conscious suffer from. They're not in balance. They either mistreat the mind and treat the body good, or they mistreat the body and treat the mind good. See, we're not looking for either or, but you're going to understand. Now, how we're going to understand is the law of use is a divine right of use. Now, these Hermetic teachings, these are called Sufyan teachings. As I showed you, the Sufaya, the light. So all this was the light teachings of the Sufaya. The Sufaya teachings were always kept secretly locked in the minds of its believers, but they were never intended to be stored away and kept secret. Ever since it came out in the 7th century, it was for the world to enter a new age of light through wisdom. This is what we call purity. This is what we call spirit. Now, knowledge without use is an expression. Knowledge without use, now without use and expression, brings no good to its possessor or to the human race. Beware of mental miserliness and express into action that which you have learned. Express into action that which you have learned. Study the axioms and aphorisms. Study, but practice them also. All right, we start with in the box. To change your mood or your mental state, change your vibration. That's how it reads. Now, to understand what is it saying, it says it clear, but it's laws that govern these statements. And if we don't understand the law of change, then we don't understand the law of vibration. See, vibration only exists because change is not changing. So when we understand the law of change, which comes before the law of vibration, we understand the law of change is the law of change. This is how you quickly affect your mental state. To change your mental state, you have to use the law of change. To change your mental state, use the law of change to change your mind. This is it. One may change his mental vibrations, his mental thoughts, by an effort of will. See, self can change your own thoughts if you understand that your thoughts are mental and that all vibrations come from not changing. So in order to change, we must know what we're changing. So the way we change is through mental changing. Once we mentally change, then we have a chain reaction. See, and this is, it says, by an effort of will. And so all we have to understand is the law of change. The law of change is the second law. Well, no, we'll get to that. Now, when it says by an effort of will, I want you to understand what I understand. That the effort of will is called belief. You change your mental thought by an effort of belief. By deliberately fixing your belief on a more desirable thought, a more worthy thought. Listen here. Belief directs the awareness. As it say, will directs the attention. Let me clear that up. Belief directs the awareness. Your belief directs your awareness, and your awareness changes your mind. So we learning how to fix our minds on a better state. This is what we was learning in the class about eternal happiness. This is how you attain it once you learn the mastery of mental states. So when we are speaking on how, this is the method of how. Using belief to direct your awareness. And your awareness will change the mind. Your awareness will shift the mind into that state of awareness. Now, we must cultivate the art of belief. But first, we must cultivate the art of awareness. By means of belief. I want you to see how powerful awareness is by means of your belief. The more you use belief, watch how you cultivate the art of awareness. As the Su says, the way is belief, and the belief is the way of Asalon. So these are ancient concepts to give you control of your divine mind. And once you control your mind, you control the entire universe. We're going to get to these divine statements. So if you want to master thoughts and master feelings, you got to cultivate the art of awareness by means of belief. Then you have solved the secret of mastery of feelings and thoughts. Now, let's say you have a situation in mind. Now, all this is dealing with mind. We're dealing with the interpretations of mind. So let's say you have an interpretation into the mind, and you decide now you want to destroy this thought or vibration. Well, to destroy that thought or vibration, you have to understand the power of understanding concept. So to use your mind is to understand concept. Concept is a metaphysical attribute that is non-locational, that has existence, but is not a part of the human 3D of humanity. So when you use this, use the concept of polarity. And when you use the concept of polarity and manifest on the opposite pole, opposite polarity to that which you no longer wish to have in your mind. See, you kill out the thoughts and feelings by changing its polarity, its manifestation. You got to manifest on the opposite polarity. Like going from your couch to your refrigerator. You gotta employ. So once that's understood, then we're able to move forward. And you'll see grand ahas. As it says, this is one of the most important. Let me state it all clearly. This is one of the most important of the Suf formula. It is based on true divine concepts. A mental state and its opposite and its polarity are merely two polarities of one manifestation. The polarity might be reversed by mental manifestation. This is how you reverse unworthy thoughts and feelings. Because these things will become burdens if you don't know how to remove them. So this is what we call knowledge and wisdom. Use knowledge and wisdom to remove them if you honor knowledge and wisdom. See, psychologists use these principles, but they don't teach these principles to their clients. And so there we go, digging in your pocket, and you never have no remedy for yourself. And this is what creates a big racket for profiteering amongst the ignorance. They need us to be unequivocal in these concepts that they call principle. See, they love principle to agent. So you have to understand how they broke down these concepts and created a false, as we was covering earlier, a Disneyland to play in, full of make-believe. And if you don't have these working principles as your ultra conscious, then you stuck being barcaded by the conscious mind. And see, the conscious mind has been conscious by ignorance. Because so ignorance is all in the conscious mind right now. So your only effect is getting from the conscious mind to reprogramming the subconscious mind so you can access higher levels of yourself. See, and this come through divine scientific concepts akin to divine wisdom. Okay, let's go a little deeper. Let's say if you have fear, you don't want to waste time trying to kill out fear. Remember, this is all mental. Instead, manifest mentally mental courage, and the fear would disappear. Once this is done, you will see it for yourself. So it should be clear now. If you're going to put the jumper cable on the negative, you got to put the jumper cable on the positive. So to not have any connection or any manifestation, you need to disconnect the poles. So to kill out the negative quality, put it on the positive. To kill out the positive, put it on the negative. These vibrations will fluctuate and slide between negative and positive until you finally manifest on one of these polarities. So, understanding these sufas, formulas, you have the ability to master your moods. Use the law of change to change your mental states. The power to remake your mentality. And the power to build up wisdom. Now, what I'm talking about, this ain't for the preschool. This is for advanced. If you can understand what I'm saying, you are an advanced being. And more light is what you need to sustain yourself. That light is self-knowledge. See, much of the mental mastery of the advanced is due to the application of manifestation. They like to call this polarity or duality, but see, that's what helps up all black people. See, because that's a new form of thinking, which is actually a lower form of thinking. See, we dealing with knowing. See, thinking is an ability. And that's how they use that ability to repolarize you onto their level, their plane of consciousness. So now you'll create a whole environment and a lifestyle on their plane of consciousness. See, but you have to understand mental manifestation. And this is what I'm saying. One of the applications of polarity is an aspect of mental manifestation. Now, the mastery of manifestation is the mastery of the fun. This is what make life fun. The fundamental concepts of mental manifestation or mental alchemy. For unless one light alchemy, for unless one acquires the art of changing your own manifest, you will be unable to affect yourself and your environment. An understanding of this concept will enable you to change your own polarity and manifest at will. If you will only devote the time, the care, the study, and the practice necessary to master the art. The Sufa is true, but the results obtained depend upon the persistent patience and practice of the adept mastermind. That's what you're going to be after you become knowing of this gnosis. This is the gnosis. Rhyming may be neutralized by an application of an art of manifestation. Rhythm here. We talking about planes of consciousness, mental manifestation. The principle of rhyming or rhythm manifests on the mental plane and on the physical plane. The mental self and the physical self is hooked by the principle, the concept of rhyme or rhythm. The bewildering, the confusing succession of moods, feelings, emotions, and many other mental states are due to the backward and forward breathing of the mental problem. See, and the breathing is what's carrying you from one extreme feeling to the other. See, the law of neutralization enables one to overcome the operation of breathing in consciousness, breathing in that plane of consciousness. If you don't use the law to neutralize that operation of the swinging, the breathing back and forth in that plane, then instead of rising above, you're going to get caught beneath in that plane of consciousness, that influence. It's going to swift you right on in. So, like them video games you used to play where you have to wait for a second, and as they cross and they intersect and swinging, and you got to find the gap in between to go through, or if not, you're going to have to try again. So the same way in life, we have to understand we're dealing with cosmic concepts that are divine in nature. The Sufyan rises mentally to the higher plane of consciousness from the lower plane of unconsciousness. This is what makes the breathing of the mental manifest on the lower plane. If you are on the higher plane, you escape the consciousness of the movement of that plane. This situation is created by manifesting on the higher self, and thus raising the mental thoughts of the self above those of the lower plane of lower consciousness. It is akin to rising above a thing and allowing it to pass beneath you. The advanced Sufyan manifests himself at the positive pole of his nature, the I know, rather than the I am. And by refusing and denying the operation of the rhythm of becoming I am, by denying that, you raise yourself to the higher plane of the higher self plane of consciousness. And standing firm in that understanding allows now the influence to swing back on the lower plane without changing your state of polarity manifest. It's like taking the video game off your hands and now in your mind. This is how you understand self-mastery. See, all the people or the books or the people that you love to worship, this is why you love to worship. Because all these individuals accomplished this feature. And this is accomplished by all individuals who have attained any degree of self-mastery. You must understand the law for self-mastery. So such persons simply refuse to allow themselves to be swung back by the influence of moods and emotions, and by steadfastly understanding the superiority, they remain manifested on the positive pole. The Sufyan attains more proficiency because the Sufyan understands the law which he is overcoming by a higher law. This will your belief is what helps you attain this degree of poise and mental understanding, almost impossible, that others would not believe, and how you did not allow yourself to be swung back and forth by moods and feelings. Remember always that you do not destroy any law, for concepts are indestructible. You simply overcome one law by counterbalancing it with another law. And thus maintaining balance. So this is all you have to do when you have, let's see, let's transfer for a second. See, to perform in a manner pleasing with the laws of Allah. See, these hidden laws is what has been hidden from the people. And these laws are of the mind. So this is how your mind maintains equilibrium or equilibrioception, by using concept to counter concepts. So the laws of concept and counter concept are in operation on the mental as well as on the physical planes. And the understanding of these laws enables one to seem to overthrow laws, whereas he is merely exerting a counter concept. Peep the love now. Nothing escapes the concept of cause and effect, but there are many planes of causation. One may use the laws of the higher to overcome the laws of the lower. So all this is done through the sliding scale of manifestation, through polarization, through manifestation. This is how you rise to a higher plane of causation. And thus you counterbalance the laws of the lower planes of causation. So this is what has been used on the people. I hope this about to end. Okay, yeah, this about it. Now, the wise self serve on the higher, but rule on the lower self. They obey the laws coming from above, cosmic, divine. They rule and give orders on their own plane to the lower plane. And so they form a part of the principle instead of opposing it. The wise man falls in with the law by understanding its movements. He operates law instead of being its blind slave. So that's the key, what we're trying to get to here in this video. You become a mental master by understanding how motion creates the law. And if you understand the operation of the movement, and we're talking about the movement of the mind, then you can understand how not to become a blind slave, an unconscious slave, where you just ignore that you're moving. True mental manifestation is a mental art. So there we have it. Now, our people can rise with a little more self-knowledge, a little more internal light, that inner light to help you navigate with insight. Light allows you to see. Light is your knowledge. Your knowledge is self. So this is what we have to understand, and we have the divine right to use. And so that means you can use it or you can not use it. Both is your divine right. But you can't get mad. You can only get mad at yourself. So I think it's beautiful that we covered that. This is the first time we covered that, so it's done. So make darkness disappear, so evil never come near. KOS and gentleness.